Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at our Inventor Tic-Tac-Toe day number 2, vertical grooves. We're going to create the vertical grooves on our game board using Inventor. Currently right now I have Inventor open on my computer screen, like you should have. Also next to my computer screen I have my multi-view drawing where it has the front view, the top view, the right side view, and what our part should look like in 3D or isometric mode. The vertical grooves that we're talking about are these that are going to run up and down on our part right here. Okay, these are the vertical grooves. And we want to have this sheet open because there are dimensions that we're going to read off the sheet in order to put into Inventor in order to get them to be the right size. Okay? To begin, let me get rid of this. To begin, we're going to go back to our Inventor. The first thing we need to do with a blank screen on Inventor is we need to go locate our part that we had created yesterday. So we're going to come up to the orange file in the top left-hand corner of the screen. We're going to click on File, go down to Open, select Open, and then in this drop-down menu here, I want to find my H drive. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. It should be the second one from the bottom, first initial, last name 000. Once we select that folder, inside here you should see your tic-tac-toe game. Click to select it. It should show you a little icon, a little preview, a little thumbnail of what that part looks like. Once we have the correct one, select Open. Okay, when we initially drew this block, we were faced with our first time placing a 2D sketch on, and we had to choose from the 3 different planes, and we chose the XY plane to draw on. Now that we're going to be adding features to this part, we don't get those 3 planes anymore, but we still need to add a 2D sketch. So let's go up to our ribbon bar in the top left hand corner. We're going to click on the drawing with the green plus mark. That's our 2D sketch. And now Inventor wants to know, where do we want to place this? We're going to place it on a large area in the front, which is the front view. When it highlights red, click to place that sketch on here. Inventor always puts your origin right in the middle of the screen, but we like seeing our whole part in view. So we're going to come up to the top right hand corner by our world coordinate system, and we're going to click front in the world view cube. Okay, now that we have that on our screen, let's take a look at how we're going to create these rectangles. First, we're going to come up and get our rectangle tool, and we're going to start way up here in no man's land, and we're going to click and stretch out a rectangle. Okay, now if you take a look at my screen, I have 2 boxes that are there for our dimensions that we're going to type into. The bottom one, which is highlighted blue, is where we're going to enter a dimension, and since this one that's now highlighted blue, the extents of that rectangle are off of our part, that dimension we're not going to need. So going back to that first dimension down here, we need to find out a dimension to type in there. Okay, so let's go to our multi-view drawing. We're looking at what is the size of this groove from edge to edge right here. And we find that drawing by following this extension line going straight up, if I can draw it straight, right here. And we can see that that dimension for the width of that groove is 0.15. 0.15 is what we're going to be using. So let's go back to Inventor. We're going to get our rectangle tool. Start up here, off your part. We're going to stretch this rectangle out and make sure you're off your part at the bottom and off your part at the top. And that horizontal dimension we're going to type in is 0.15. And then press Enter key on your keyboard. Press the Escape key to let go of your rectangle tool. Do you see how my rectangle tool up here is still blue? When I press the Escape key, it drops that rectangle tool. Remember your 2 best friends? The Escape key and the Undo arrow. Okay? Next, we have to put another dimension on here that locates this rectangle. How far is it from the left-hand side of our part to the left-hand side of this rectangle that we just drew? So let's take a look at our drawing. We need to find out how far is it from this side of that rectangle we just drew to this side of our part. And if we follow that extension up, we can see the number that falls in between those two extension lines, is 1.06. So that's the number we're going to type in when we use our dimension tool. Okay, back to our drawing. We're going to get our dimension tool from the top ribbon bar. Once it's highlighted blue, you can see it highlight blue there. I'm going to come down and I'm going to put my cursor on the left-hand side of my part. When the edge of that part turns red, I'm going to click to select it. Now, don't start freaking out when it shows you a dimension on there. We're not done clicking yet. We still have another edge to click. And we're going to move our mouse over to the left-hand side of our rectangle that we just created. So we want left-hand side of our part, left-hand side of our rectangle. And we're going to click and bring this dimension up to the top. Once you click to place it, it's going to give you an edit dimension box. We're going to highlight that with our cursor and we're going to type in the dimension from our drawing, which was 1.06. 1.06 is the dimension we're adding in, and then green check mark to apply that dimension. So right now we have one rectangle drawn that is 0.15 in width, and it is located 1.06 inches in from the left-hand side of our part to the left-hand side of our rectangle. Now that we have that rectangle drawn, we're going to come up to our ribbon bar in the top right-hand side of it, and we're going to find the green check mark Finish Sketch. We're going to take an extrude and cut this groove into that top of the block. But first what we need to know is what is the depth that we're going to be cutting that or extruding that away. So back on our drawing, on my front view, I cannot see how deep that slot goes, that groove goes. However, on my right side view, I can see that from the front of my block to the bottom of that groove, I can see that that dimension is 0.19. Okay, so that's the depth that we're going to extrude that in. Back to Inventor, we're going to come up to our ribbon bar in the top part of our screen. We're going to find the Extrude button, and we're going to click on Extrude. Now you can see that this extrude is coming straight out at us. We want to flip that around by using the direction section in our menu here and click the flipped arrow, which makes it go in the reverse direction. So now it's cutting. That depth is a little deep, so right here where it says distance A, we're going to highlight that and we're going to enter our dimension from off of the sheet, 0.19, and then click OK in the menu here. We have one of our grooves in and it's located in the right spot. We're halfway done with today's activity. Okay, so now let's go back up to the top and do the same thing for the second rectangle as well and the second groove. So we're going to come up to our ribbon bar all the way on the left hand side, get our drawing with the green plus mark, and we're going to place that on our front view. Now you can see now we have two front views because we cut that groove in there. We want to be on the front view where we are actually going to be locating that feature for the groove. So once this large side is highlighted red, click to place it. And then of course we're going to click front in our world view cube in order to center it on our screen. And let's go get our rectangle tool again, and we're going to start way up off our part. We're going to click, let go of the mouse button, and we're going to stretch out another rectangle so that it's off of the part at the top and off of our part at the bottom. And once again, we're just going to be entering in that one dimension. So let's take a look at our drawing. Remember that one dimension is from the width of the rectangle to the other side of that rectangle. And we can see that that's 0.15. Hopefully remember that from the last time. 0.15. Back on Inventor, we're going to take our hand off our mouse. We're going to take and type on the keyboard 0.15. That's the width of the rectangle. We don't need a height because it extends off the top and the bottom of our part. So we're going to press Enter then on the keyboard. We do, however, need to find the dimension from the right-hand side to the right-hand side of our rectangle. Before we do that, you can see that my rectangle tool is still highlighted blue. I'm going to press the Escape key on the keyboard to let go of that. And now back at our drawing again, we're looking for the dimension from the right-hand side of our rectangle, our part to the right hand side of the rectangle we just drew, and we can see that that dimension is 1.06. So coming back onto our computer screen and coming back onto our Inventor, we're going to come up here to our ribbon bar in the top, select the dimension tool. We're going to bring our cursor over to the right hand side of our part. When it turns red, click to select it. Remember, that dimension doesn't mean anything yet. We have to select our other face as well, our other line. So we're going to come over to the rectangle we just created. When that right side of the rectangle highlights red, click to select it. We're going to bring this dimension up, and we're going to change the dimension right here to 1.06. Make sure you have 1.06 entered into that. And then green check mark, or you could press enter on your keyboard. Excellent, that's looking great. Next, we're going to green check mark finish sketch. And just like we did with that first one, we're going to take and we're going to click our extrude button. We want to have this coming out towards us. We want to change that and flip it around the opposite direction so it cuts in. And then this distance that's right here, let's double check what that distance is. Remember, from our front view, we cannot see what that depth of that groove is. We have to look at our right side view, and we're looking from the right side view, front, to the bottom of that groove. Right down here you can see where that line goes to, and that is 0.19. Okay, 0.19 is our dimension that we're going to put in. So back on our Inventor, we're going to take and we're going to make sure that this is 0.19. Make sure you're typing it right, 0.19, and then click OK. Excellent job. Everything looks great. Now we need to go up to the top and we need to save it. Once again, this is not like Google where you can just close a doc out and it saves to your Google Drive. Here we have to specifically save it. Now we already have this saved to our H drive one time as the tic-tac-toe game. Right up here in the top is where you should see that. What we're going to do now is we're going to take and go to the orange file, and we're going to go down to save. Not a save as, because that's going to want, Inventor's going to want us to give it a new name. We're just going to click save. Okay? Once we click save, we are done for today, and we'll see you in the next video where we do the horizontal grooves.